The first moment from the show Everybody that I chose was God's monologue when they pulled the cloth over their face and then shifted through various accents, tones of voice, and characters. I believe that this specific moment was important to helping the audience understand the story better because it was a literal representation of how God is faceless and God can take on various different forms. And so this forces the audience members to develop their own individual interpretation of what God looks like, how they act, and who they are. And it just shows how dynamic God is because they're changing through these different forms. So although we couldn't necessarily see the face of the character and the facial expressions they were making, it was still very evident that they were shifting through these different characters and forms because of how dynamic God was. Now, a special decision that the character God made was that they took up the entire stage. They were very big in their movements and constantly moving all around the stage to show how big God really is and how he's very prevalent everywhere. I also noticed that God did not share the stage with any of the other characters. While the other characters had to share the space with each other, God holds more power. He's higher up than any of the other characters. And so by not having to share the space with anybody else, that helps the audience really understand God's status and how powerful he or she is. Now, the second moment from the show that I chose was when Stuff leaned in for a kiss with everybody, but then pulled away. I think that this moment was important to helping the audience really understand Stuff's character and Stuff's role because it shows just how intoxicating materialistic wants can be. So while everybody wanted to take her stuff with her to go see God, Stuff didn't necessarily want to come with everybody. They didn't want anything to do with it. And this shows how in real life, we may constantly be wanting new things and this and that, but it doesn't necessarily fulfill us. So Stuff isn't necessarily doing anything for us while we may be loving our stuff. Now, a physical decision that Stuff made was I noticed that they walked with confidence. They walked with their hands on their hips, were very, they displayed an intimidating demeanor. So when everybody was in the presence of Stuff, they acted kind of small because they were intimidated by Stuff. And I think that this helps the audience understand how we don't necessarily control our stuff, but our stuff controls us.